Imagine biting into a piece of bread, only to notice fuzzy green spots on the corner. You might shrug it off, thinking, it's just a little mold. How bad could it be? But what if that tiny speck hiding on your sandwich could trigger more than just a stomach ache? Every day, we unknowingly encounter mold in our homes, on leftovers, and in food we consider perfectly safe. It's one of those hidden threats that can quietly affect our health, and yet most of us rarely pause to think about what really happens inside our bodies when we accidentally consume it. Mold isn't just an unpleasant sight or smell. It's a living organism that releases spores and chemicals, some of which can have a surprising impact on our wellness. For some people, the effects are mild, like temporary nausea or digestive discomfort. For others, it can trigger symptoms that feel much more intense: fatigue, headaches, allergic reactions, or even digestive disturbances that linger longer than expected. And the tricky part is, the signs can be so subtle that we often ignore them, assuming they're just normal stress or something we ate earlier. That's why understanding mold exposure isn't just about food safety. It's about protecting your overall lifestyle and daily well-being. Think about this. How often do we store leftovers in the fridge, leave bread on the counter, or snack on nuts and cheeses without giving them a second thought? Mold can appear in the most common foods, sometimes even in ways that are almost invisible. And while some molds are harmless, others produce toxins that may affect your body differently depending on your immune system, age, and general health. It's a situation that's easy to underestimate, yet it carries questions that deserve careful attention. How much mold is too much? Are there certain foods or situations that pose a higher risk? And most importantly, what are the long-term effects that we may not even notice right away? In this video, we'll explore what actually happens when you eat mold, how your body reacts, and what signs to watch for that could indicate something more serious. By the end, you'll have a clearer understanding of how something so small and seemingly harmless can affect your health, and why staying informed is a crucial part of living a safe, healthy lifestyle. But before we get into all the details, the biggest question remains: can eating mold ever be truly harmless, or is it something we should always treat with caution? Mold in food doesn't just appear overnight. It grows when conditions are right, usually in warm, damp environments or on items that are left out too long. Think of that forgotten slice of cheese in the fridge, a half-eaten piece of fruit on the counter, or even a loaf of bread tucked in a plastic bag. These everyday foods can become a breeding ground for tiny spores that are invisible to the naked eye, but ready to interact with your body. For most people, the first signs are subtle: a slightly upset stomach, mild nausea, or a fleeting headache. But some people may experience stronger reactions, especially if they're sensitive to mold or have allergies, which can make even small exposures feel more serious. Daily habits can unknowingly increase exposure. Snacking straight from the container, not checking expiration dates, or storing food improperly can all let mold grow faster. Real-life experiences show how easy it is to underestimate the risk. Someone might eat yogurt that looks fine on the surface, only to feel bloated or fatigued hours later and never connect it to mold. Others may notice a pattern of recurring digestive discomfort, sinus congestion, or unusual fatigue after consuming certain foods, leaving them puzzled about the source. These little encounters highlight why understanding mold in our diet isn't just a kitchen concern. It's a matter of overall wellness and maintaining a healthy lifestyle. The real question is, when these tiny spores enter your system, what exactly happens inside your body? And why do reactions vary so much from person to person? For many people, the experience of accidentally eating mold can be surprisingly emotional. Imagine the anxiety that sets in after realizing you've eaten something questionable. Suddenly, a simple meal becomes a source of stress. Some start noticing subtle changes in their body, like bloating, fatigue, or mild dizziness, and the mind can begin to spiral. Did I just make myself sick? Will this affect my long-term health? These emotional responses are real and part of why mold exposure can feel more alarming than it sometimes is. Medical perspectives show that reactions to mold vary widely. In healthy individuals, the body's digestive system and immune defenses often handle small amounts of mold without serious complications. However, people with weakened immune systems, asthma, or mold sensitivities can experience more pronounced effects. Allergic reactions, respiratory irritation, and prolonged digestive discomfort are possible, and repeated exposure may even contribute to ongoing fatigue or low-grade inflammation. Yet, misconceptions abound. Some think that cutting off the visibly moldy part is always safe, or that cooking will neutralize every risk, which isn't always true. Lifestyle impacts can also sneak in unnoticed. If you've ever avoided certain foods out of fear of mold, or felt anxious about leftovers in your fridge, it can subtly affect your eating habits and nutrition choices. Even social situations like sharing meals or dining out might create tension because you're constantly weighing safety against enjoyment. Real-life stories reveal that these small disruptions over time can influence wellness and daily routines more than people expect. The deeper question remains, why do some people experience only mild symptoms while others struggle with noticeable reactions? And could these hidden effects accumulate in ways we don't yet fully understand? While many cases of accidental mold consumption pass without serious harm, there are moments when the situation can turn more concerning. Certain warning signs shouldn't be ignored. Persistent nausea, unexplained fatigue, stomach cramps that linger, or unusual allergic reactions can all signal that your body is struggling to cope. Even mild symptoms, if repeated over time, may indicate that exposure isn't as harmless as it seems. The scary part is that these signs can appear gradually, making it easy to dismiss them as stress, a bad meal, or just one of those days, while the underlying impact quietly builds. Some people have shared experiences that illustrate just how unpredictable mold exposure can be. A simple bite of leftover bread might leave one person completely fine, while another ends up with hours of digestive distress, headaches, or sinus irritation. In more sensitive individuals, the effects can be more serious, sometimes affecting sleep, energy levels, or even immune function. These turning points often catch people off guard because mold is such a common part of our daily lives that it rarely feels like a true health threat. What makes this issue even more urgent is that mold is everywhere, from forgotten fridge items to damp areas in your home. It can appear in foods you think are perfectly safe, and repeated exposure may increase the likelihood of stronger reactions over time. The tension builds when you realize that ignoring these signs or underestimating the risks could silently affect your wellness, leaving your body in a state of low-grade stress or inflammation without you even noticing. So the big question is, when these warning signals appear, what's really happening inside your body? And how do you know when a simple mold exposure crosses the line into something that requires real attention? This is where understanding the full picture becomes critical, and where we need to dig deeper into the health risks and unseen consequences before we talk about ways to stay safe. What makes mold exposure even more tricky is how often its effects hide in plain sight. Many people experience delayed or subtle symptoms that don't immediately point to the culprit. Digestive issues that flare up occasionally, headaches that come and go, or persistent fatigue are easy to chalk up to stress, lack of sleep, or a busy lifestyle. But in reality, these could be silent signals from your body reacting to mold toxins. The danger lies in the delay. By the time the connection is made, repeated exposure may have already created patterns of discomfort that feel normal, leaving people frustrated and unsure why they aren't feeling their best. Another twist is how easily mistakes happen in our daily routines. Cutting off visible mold on cheese or bread, thinking microwaving leftovers will make them safe, or assuming packaged foods are completely protected. These common assumptions can actually increase risk. Even foods like nuts, dried fruits, or soft cheeses can carry mold spores that go unnoticed until the effects show up hours or days later. For people with allergies or sensitivities, these hidden exposures can trigger unexpected complications, sinus irritation, skin rashes, or digestive flare-ups that seem unrelated to diet. Real-life experiences highlight just how sneaky mold can be. Someone might feel fine all day, then wake up the next morning with bloating, headaches, or brain fog, never guessing that a small bite of forgotten food triggered it. The concern escalates when you realize that these hidden reactions don't just affect the body, they influence mood, energy, and overall wellness, creating a ripple effect on daily life. It raises a critical question. If mold can linger in our systems and present in such unpredictable ways, how can we truly recognize the risk before it starts affecting our health in a meaningful way? And what are the hidden consequences we might be overlooking, even in foods we eat every single day? After looking at all these hidden risks and subtle signs, the real turning point comes when you understand how your body actually responds to mold. Experts explain that when mold spores or their byproducts enter your digestive system, your immune system immediately starts working to neutralize potential threats. For most healthy people, this process is quick and effective, which is why many only experience mild discomfort. But for sensitive individuals, repeated exposures, or those with allergies, the immune system can overreact, leading to symptoms that seem disconnected from what you ate, like headaches, brain fog, fatigue, or persistent digestive issues. This explains why mold can feel invisible, yet still affect your daily health and wellness. Another key insight is that the severity of mold-related reactions isn't always obvious at first. Many people assume that if they feel fine after eating something slightly moldy, there's no harm done. In reality, repeated minor exposures can quietly create inflammation or immune stress over time, subtly influencing energy levels, digestion, and even mental clarity. Awareness becomes crucial, not just checking for visible mold, but recognizing patterns in how your body responds, keeping an eye on lingering symptoms, and understanding that even everyday foods can sometimes be culprits. Here's the unexpected twist. Not all molds are dangerous, but the ones that produce mycotoxins, the toxic byproducts of certain molds, pose the real risk. These aren't always visible, and they can survive cooking or partial removal, meaning even careful habits don't completely eliminate exposure. It's a revelation that forces you to rethink everyday eating habits, food storage routines, and the hidden ways our bodies can be impacted. By understanding this, you begin to see mold not just as a kitchen nuisance, but as a genuine wellness factor that deserves attention. The surprising part? Your body often sends early warning signs long before serious issues arise. It's up to us to listen, recognize them, and make informed choices to protect long-term health. Now that we've uncovered how mold can affect your body in ways you might not expect, it's easier to see why awareness and prevention are so important for your health and wellness. The first step is simply paying attention. Notice patterns in your digestion, energy levels, or any mild allergic reactions that seem to appear after certain foods. Being mindful of what you eat, checking for visible mold, and practicing safe food storage are simple habits that make a big difference. Keeping your kitchen and pantry clean, storing leftovers properly, and being cautious with high-risk foods like soft cheeses, nuts, or fruit can help reduce exposure. For those with allergies or sensitivities, paying closer attention to food labels and expiration dates adds another layer of protection. And if you do accidentally consume mold and notice symptoms like nausea, bloating, or fatigue, don't ignore them. Your body is giving you feedback, and staying hydrated and resting can help support your immune system. Ultimately, mold isn't always dangerous, but treating it with respect and staying informed is key to maintaining your daily wellness and preventing hidden health problems. By learning to recognize warning signs, practicing safe food habits, and listening to your body, you can protect your digestive health, boost energy, and keep your lifestyle strong and balanced. Small steps today can prevent bigger issues tomorrow, making your health a priority in the simplest, most practical ways.